Hello, hello, hello. This is AJT500 slash Knowledge Track 98 slash Eloise Wonderwise slash Hilo, and this is the post Guild War Ramble for Win 2025 Guild War. If you're new to this series, pretty much whenever a Guild War comes, I do a pre-Guild War Ramble where we talk about what might be used in the Guild War, and then we do the post Guild War Ramble afterwards that goes over what I actually use. And I go over my rankings and my setups, and then I do a tier list at the end provided by game with here. I will link this in the description as well if you want to make your own tier list. So let's just get into like the this thing. So first of all, got a sunstone again on this one, as I do per usual. This was my ending thing. This was my cruise ending thing. Did quite a bit on day 4, a little bit of a jump over the first 3 days, but yeah, I also may or may not have gotten top 2k on this one. May or may not have gotten top 2k. This is my 3rd top 2k now. I've done earth, light, and wind now. Pretty much the way this happened was it was completely unplanned until the last day. Pretty much our crew was doing really well, and we were doing 3-0, so we were winning 3, hadn't lost yet. And on the 4th day, I saw in the morning a setup from Kuwataro that looked like it was going to be pretty fast. And then when I got home to actually try it, it was pretty fast, and I was like, bro, I'm gonna make sure we can win this seeking round, bro. I'm gonna get this dub. So I was spamming like crazy, and then I got to the point where we were like 30 bill ahead over the enemy team, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back to 90 because I needed 2 more celestials, and but I got them in like 1,000 meat or something like that, and I was like, if I get my two celestials in this I had like 3,000 meat or something like that left. Yeah, but I was like, if I get it in that, I might just go for top 2k. So then we looked back at the thinking rankings, we saw how close I was, we saw how fast I was going, and it was just like, all right, let's seeking lock in. So yeah, again, as I usually say, I don't think it's really worth to go for top 2k more than once. It's like completely pointless besides just bragging rights essentially. But I won't say I usually, but I will say like maybe once a year I'll go for a top 2k in an element, just because it just so happens that it lines up where I can do it. Mainly for me, like I don't take off for Guild Wars, so like if it ends where, like this time it was going into Thanksgiving, so I had the day off the next day afterwards, so I was kind of like being chilling. So if it ever ends on like a holiday or it ends on like a weekend or something like that, I might go for top 2k depending on how close I am. And another thing too is just my wind was pretty decently built for this Guild War, so like I was already really close to top 2k on the 4th day anyway, so it wasn't like I had to like rush from like top 50k or something all the way to top 2k. You know what I mean? I was like already there. So yeah, so that's wind under my belt now. So I have 3. Maybe in the next 10 years I'll get the other 3 elements and I'll have rainbow. But yeah, so anyway, good job crew, good job to me, my top 2k. But yeah, so now we'll get into the setups I use. I actually have quite a bit of setups because we actually had to play like everything this time. And I played manual 250 as well, so like literally I played every level, whereas in some things before you may skip over like what is it, 150 or 100 or something like that, and you probably skipped over 95 before, but I did everything this time, so I actually have a decent amount of setups to show, so we'll get into that next. Okay, so first we have EX Plus here. EX Plus is just Oil OGS1, pretty standard stuff nowadays. So yeah, just that with Soldier, easy enough. Wind got the Thinking Matera thing, so it's like super easy because you don't even got to swap to Sagacity. You just got skill damage, so skill damage and impalement. So nothing too crazy on this one. I'll go show the whatchamacallit, the grid. Yeah, nothing too crazy. And bullet, I just use the fall 0 bullet. All right, so next is 90. Now 90 I farmed quite a bit of because I was trying to do double Kaguya. Double Kaguya just attack. So I did have to I did end up caving and borrowing my second Grimnir because Grimnir, pretty much when you were running this double Kaguya thing, you really needed all that taking extra juiced attack. So I just ended up doing that. I also got my attack awakened celestial spear as well so that I could do this because pretty much my thought process was you gotta spend money to make money. So I spent the bars and the cores for that stuff so that I could farm more celestials, and it definitely paid off because I got a lot of celestials with all the 90 I did. So yeah. This is what this was. Interesting about this is this actually didn't even use the destroyer weapon. It actually, I needed the TA from the Ultima. so yeah. Next 95. So 95, I did do a decent amount of this in prelims as well. This is the only place I got to use Romfire. Also, I did get also another thing too is by getting my second Grimnir, I was able to get this down to just one summon instead of it used to be when I first did it originally, it was one button, one summon. So I was also pressing Galleon S1, but I didn't need that once I got the second Grimnir, which again, I needed that extra juice. I actually want to mention something about that once I get to the tier list later when it comes to grid building for some of this stuff. For some of these burst setups, because there's actually something interesting that came up. I know I'm like, well, how am I trying to say this? What I'm trying to say is, not everyone is gonna have the exact same experience as me when it comes to those, but yeah, I'll talk about it later. I'll talk about it later. Anyway, this was 100 and 150. Another good thing about this as well is pretty much up until 150, like they made the HP changes for 200 and 250, but pretty much from 150 down, I had pretty much everything planned going in. So I already had all these setups. They were already raring to go before the guild war even started. So I'm glad everything worked out pretty much as needed. So like 150 day, I know a lot of people were struggling on 150, but I was like being chilling because I already had the setup for it. The setup was already done before the guild war even started. So yeah, that wasn't too bad either. This was also the only time that I actually used Raffis was for 150. Granted, I didn't have to bar Raffis like too much, so it was only like one bar because I pretty much sat around and waited for dupes. So yeah, but that's 100, 150. Pretty nice day for me there. I think this is also where people started to see the destroyer gap a little bit more. People were hurting on 150 quite a bit from what I saw. So yeah, that's 150. Then 200 to 200. I'm gonna start skipping through this a little bit because this is kind of the full auto section, which is crazy because we're only 4 minutes in this video, and this video is like 18 minutes. That's how long these seeking full autos are. But anyway, so this was just full auto. I didn't manual any of this. This was Lamrock territory, and I did not have Lamrock. This is also another place where I could have used Ron Fire. I did see some setups, some burst setups without Lamrock. But pretty much by the time I started seeing the non-Lamrock ones, the round was like pretty much already over anyway, so I just didn't care. I just full autoed and called it a day. I did do a couple full autos on this though. When I started out, I actually did like the Kuataro, like it was like Galleon and you called Alexiel or something. I did that and it actually worked decently well for me as well. But this Lancelot one was actually the fastest one that I had gotten, assuming it worked all the time. I think depending on when you pushed towards the end, it was like around like 10% or something. If you like pushed 10%, then it might take like an extra turn because of the buffs he gets. But if you didn't push 10%, then you killed it like a turn early. but it was consistent regardless. So I just stuck with it, and it was the fastest if it worked how it was supposed to. And this was the only time I actually used Lancelot the whole Guild War. So I was like, screw it, I'll just seeking take it. But anyway, yeah, this is seeking full auto. So yeah, I think yeah, it's like this. It's like if you push to 10% on this, or if you I think if you stay above 10% or something like that. I don't know what it was. Oh, maybe if you didn't push to 5. I don't know. I don't know. Oh wait. Hold on. That was all counter damage anyway. That was all counter damage. Yeah, I think if you push to 10% here, then it could take an extra turn. But if you didn't push to 10% here, like if you stuck directly at 11, then he did this, yeah, and he didn't get like the buff that caps your damage. So then you got to kill it on turn 7. But yeah, so that was 200. Again, I tried a decent amount of different teams for that, but this ended up being the fastest for me, so I just stuck with this one. Assuming again it worked. Assuming again it worked. And again, I just wanted to use Lancelot because that was the only place I'd used him so far, and that would prove to be the only place I used him. So that was 200. Now 250. Now 250. I had a ton. We talked about this a lot on stream, but pretty much, I think for full auto, I think the only character that was like super like mandatory was Cagliostro and Clarice, because I tried like Cagliostro, Clarice, Cassius, Vampy. I tried Cagliostro, Clarice, Cassius, Matera. I tried Cagliostro, Clarice, Neo, Vampy, and I feel like I tried one other thing, but those are the only 3 I can remember. But pretty much all those teams, the only thing that was consistent was Cagliostro and Clarice. Besides that, if you had like, I know some people are using like Teking Vane. I saw one like Halloween Lancelot set up as well. Pretty much as long as you had Cagliostro and Clarice and you had like any 2 of the other like good full auto characters, you could probably make something work for this. They were kind of like the key that put it all together. So I'm gonna skip through this, but I ended up going back. I was using the Matera comp for a while, but then I kind of started mashing on this. Like I was like full auto refreshing, and Vampy was faster for that. So I ended up going with the Vampy for like my final full auto of this, but it was just full auto for this. Now, the thing about it after this, though, this was pretty much, that's what I used for day 3. I used that plus like all the other full auto setups that I was talking about before. That's what I used for day 3. But for day 4, I full autoed like 5 times when I was like eating and like washing dishes and stuff. But besides that, I did not full auto like at all on the last day. So I actually have another setup that is the manual setup. And this was just the mashing setup. So I'm also going to skip to this one because it's also kind of long. I mean, it's not long, it's like 3 minutes, but it's longer than 20 seconds. That's what I mean. So but pretty much this one was really, really sick. And I had mentioned this during stream too, but it's so funny to me because for like the last like 2 or 3 years, I've said like every single time an Anti-Tix comes around and I make a video on it, I talk about how Vampy and Lich are both really, really good. And it's like almost hard to choose them if you're missing both on your Anti-Tix. And this is just another reason why it's really hard, because Vampy was really good for setups in general, like faster burst setups, but also like the full auto. But if you wanted to do this mash, then all of a sudden Lich is back here for the for the mash. And I don't know if this was necessarily, I know this setup was, if it's not the fastest, it's very close, but I did see another setup as well that used Summer Galleon instead of Cats. That was pretty much the same thing. So I think Esta and Lich were consistent regardless. For the 2 fastest like mashing setups that I saw. I don't know anything about grouping though. But for the 2 fastest mashing setups I saw, Lich and Esta were constants. But this setup was pretty nice. It was mostly just full auto. There was a little bit of like turning Ogi on just to get Bub stacks up, and then using Bub's call at 50% and using Alexiel towards like the start or towards the end just to make it so that you dispelled stuff and you didn't die. And like sometimes you had to clear Lich to make sure she could actually use her skills. But besides that, it was pretty full auto mashy. So I actually didn't mind this setup that much, which is also another reason why I went for top 2K, because it was very easy for me to push and gain on everybody. So yeah, that was pretty much this. So I'll skip pretty much to the end of this. But yeah, this one was like 314. I was getting like 314, 320, somewhere in that range. For my runs, which was pretty fast. So that was nice. That was nice. Then I'll go and show the grid for this, and that'll be the end of this. That's that. And that's that. So that's it for the setups. So now we'll get into the tier list and just discussion stuff. Also, as an aside, I wanted to put this in here real quick because I thought about it. Ire, thanks for the meme. Ire made a meme when I decided to go for rank or our top 2K, which was just me chasing down these poor top 2Kers trying to get their trophy. So, thanks for the meme. Thanks for the meme, Ire. So now we're gonna get into the tier list. So again, I'll link GameWist thing here. But so this is my final tier list. So we'll go through this and we'll chit chat about it. So we'll start top at the top and then go down. So Esta Cats, Esta is really nice. Esta is really nice because he essentially he sits there and does nothing, but then he does all this stuff at the end of turn. And he plays really well with Swan because Swan does stuff when you dispel. And he also plays well with like Inyo for like the Nightmare 90 thing. He's also really nice for the mashing stuff because again he dispels. So he just really Esta's really teeking good. He's really teeking strong. Cats is nice because not only is Cats not only can he be used for the mashing stuff like in the whatchamacallit in the 250, but also he plays really well with like Summer Belial, which I'll get into this when I talk about the Yatama and the Belials. But essentially, Cats can be backline, and when you're debuffed, aka Summer Belial gives you debuffs, he buffs you that way. So he's good backline and frontline. So Cats is he's also very strong. Lich and Vampy, I pretty much noted this earlier, but Lich and Vampy both really teeking strong. Lich literally was MIA for me, and then she jumped all the way to SS just because of the mashing setup. Vampy just good in general for like full auto and just stuff like that. Also like burst setups and stuff like that. Vampy good. Galleon, in my opinion, Galleon is like, she's gross, bro. I was saying, someone asked me before to give like a sneak peek of the post Guild War Ramble, and I was saying that Galleon's probably my number one. And if I had known about the mashing setup that used Galleon, Esta, Lich instead of Cats, then she definitely would have. I mean, she's still number one anyway, but it would have been just like de facto, like push her even further. Because the thing about it is like Galleon was pretty much in every setup for me. She was in every, she touched every setup except my 250, essentially. Because again, like I said, even for the 200, the original setup I tried was with Galleon. My 150 was with Galleon, my 95 was with Galleon, my 90 was with Galleon. The only other thing I guess was EX Plus, just because I didn't need a character in general. But yeah, Galleon she's just gross. And the thing about Galleon is just like, she's so good because look, pretty much I said this like a couple times during stream, but the thing that's so good about Galleon is that she, like, at maximum she has to press like one button. At minimum she presses nothing, and she's still a teeking powerhouse regardless. Like she's really teeking good, really strong for Guild War scenarios. She's just really good for like all the Guild War stuff. So yeah, Galleon's probably still my number one character overall for this Guild War if I had to give like an MVP character. Inyo's up here purely for me for my 90, because Inyo, like I said before, she plays really well with Galleon. Another thing about Galleon also has Seeking Dispels, which also helps with Swan and damage. But anyway, Inyo plays well with Galleon and Esta and Swan. So essentially she really makes that Nightmare 90 double Kaguya like work. So Inyo for me personally is up in the SS just because that double Kaguya no button 90 was very important for me. Because I was forming a lot of Celestials. Cagliostro and Clarice. Cagliostro and Clarice, bro, we talked about it before how they shield this character like crazy. So much so that they literally knocked Lamarok out of his seeking like the step up like ticket thing, like the Scamcha, because she was still the poster girls of that thing because Lamarok was off of it. They tried to sell this character. They even gave you a subtext for this character too. Cagliostro Clarice is so good. I think a lot of people that had Cagliostro and Clarice before Guild War already knew that they were probably going to be really good just because of the simple fact that they've been really good in the base game so far for a lot of full autos like Virtuistic and like Siegfried and stuff like that. They've just been really, really strong. And they showed off in Guild War, and boy am I happy because I get to see so much Cagliostro art. But yeah, really full auto gods. Really, really strong. Cassius is up here because I do think Cassius, he was like back and forth, and honestly, he could still be back and forth between SS and S plus to be honest. But I will leave him in SS because I did use him for the full auto for 250 and 200. But Cassius, the thing that I've said about Cassius before is that Cassius obviously is a full auto unit. But the thing about it is that when it comes to the base game, a lot of the times, especially if you have Cagliostro and Clarice, he's good for the base game, but they essentially do what he does, and that's essentially all that's needed. He's like overkill a lot of the time in the base game. But when it comes to Guild War, the full autos, especially when you use no Cagliostro or Clarice, or you use them together with Cassius, then his stuff becomes really, really good. It also helps too that a lot of his stuff also happens at like the end of the turn. So he also kind of like he kind of dodges some of the reflect issues that his water counterpart did in that Guild War. So yeah, Cassius good for full auto, but if you weren't full auto, he probably wasn't very good. And and by not very good, I mean completely useless. Okay, so next Yatima. So I realized made a mistake, and I'll correct it in the description because I don't feel like remaking this tier list. But pretty much, I need to talk about like Yatima, Belial, Summer Belial, and Owlcat, like all the same thing. And Owlcat's the thing that's missing from SS. I forgot to put it in there. But pretty much, Yatima is really strong for Wind's burst because you want to be able to call like Owlcat and Bastet, and I guess Bastet's part of this too. You want to be able to call both of them at the same time, but you kind of need two uncastable, like only one time castable summons to make it so that Yatima always does the correct summons that you want, aka Owlcat and Bastet. So Summer Belial plays into that because not only is Summer Belial only one time cast, but he also is buffing you if Cats is in the back. Belial normal also plays into that as well because again, Belial normal gives you the supplemental, but he's also only one time castable. So that's the reason why Yatima, Summer Belial, Owlcat, and Bastet are all in like the same section. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it to GBF. I will say I'll mention something about Cassiopeia later, but pretty much the thing about it is essentially this is the reason why Cassiopeia is not really up here is because Cassiopeia can be called multiple times, so she can't really take the Belial slot because you need that slot to make it so that you can call Owlcat and Bastet. So yeah, so pretty much that's it for Yatima and both the Belials. Bastet is super freaking strong, bro. If you saw seeking if you saw Sun plus seeking strength and didn't think that joint was gonna be a freaking Guild War gap, you're insane. Summer Bastet was really good. Even if you weren't calling her, just having the strength bonus was also just really good to have. So Bastet plus like the rest of these was really good. Plus Owlcat again. Owlcat has the echoes and the TA, which I don't think I don't know how much the TA actually mattered anyway, but I mean it was there. So there you go. So Owlcat, pretty much all 5 of those summons all together because a lot of the times they're all used together. Orlogia, good. EX plus, good. Helps make Setups in general, more consistent, good. Orologic is nice. For weapons, Exalto is Exalto. You use it for most of the burst setups. Also, though I will say though, on my 250, it did fall off. I just didn't use it at all, which is kind of funny. Clam, Clam unironically was around a lot. There was a lot of like 1 or 2 Clam setups that were used a lot. So Clam, very good. Grimnir Spear, I mentioned this earlier with the 90 and the 95 stuff, but Grimnir Spear in and of itself is really good. But having 2 Grimnir Spears when specifically you're running like double Kaguya stuff or you're running single-sided, can be very, very, very strong. 2 Grimnir Spears can be very, very, very strong. And then this is something also I need to bring up later as well with Noire weapon and show fist. And I'll bring that up once I get down to the show fist. But yeah, pretty much the double Grimnir Spear was very, very strong. Unironically, worth the investment. All right, Rosetta Dagger. Rosetta Dagger, I used it for EX Plus and 250 spam. Pretty good, which is kind of funny because even though you have so much skill damage and win from like the Matera stuff, you still ended up using that anyway. So it's kind of like, but I guess it's mostly just for like the cap and I guess just like extra skill damage. But yeah, you ended up using it. Swan. Yo, do I even need to talk about Swan, bro? Dude, this thing, people are talking about Swan Gap like crazy, bro. Swan was so good. I think I used Swan in everything besides EX Plus and 150. Yeah, I think. Oh, and 95. But 200, 250, 250 full auto and manual. And what was the other one? 90 for the double Kaguya. Swan is really good. The thing about it is it's pretty much how DY says. Swan is good when they decide to make Swan good. And it seems ever since Swan has come out, they've decided Guild War is the place where Swan's going to be good. So Swan, very, very good. It's just that Swan does a lot of stuff. When you press S1, you get like the shield, you get like the clears, you get like the clears when you're taking dispel, you get the taking veil, you taking dispel when you Ogi. Also the mods on it aren't that bad either, like the HP and stuff, like it makes you really tanky. Swan just really good. And the thing about it too, like there was no place to put it on this tier list, but Swan plus the ability to also use Fighter Origin is a very deadly combo. It's very, 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 very strong. Very strong. For Guild War. Swan does fall off again when it goes back to the base game, but when it comes to Guild War, that thing is almost unmatched in a lot of scenarios. So yeah, Swan good. Matera Bow, very nice. I've said in the past that I think the skill damage impalement is the best one. Think it's very good. It's just helpful for grid space, stuff like that. It's just impalement is impalement. The destroyer weapon, Deaking nice. Deaking nice. I still don't know how much of a gap the destroyer weapon realistically really was for some of these setups, but the destroyer weapon really good just because destroyer weapon, not only is it a lot of damage, it gives you like the god echoes and stuff like that, but we also got access to extra grids this time too. So it's like you also got to put it in the extra slots. So you kind of just got to slot it for free, and it does a lot for free as well, because not only is it damage, not only is it HP, it's also an extra key like for your Ultima and Opus and stuff like that. And it also has like the damage reduction as well for the superior element. So pretty much it helps with a lot of stuff, and especially when you can use an extra grids for 250. It's just really, really, really good. The Celestial Spear. Celestial Spear is also really good as well. That helped with the optimization for Nightmare 90 when it came to the spear stuff. Also helps with Opsaris as well, because not only you playing a lot of spear characters with the spear class, but Opsaris also needs the spears or the axes to get its amp and stuff like that. So that was very good. Also, pretty much what I said was the attack one was going to be really good. Pretty much for the Celestials in general, the only ones I really think are really worth at the moment are the attack ones. And this attack one did come into play for like the Nightmare 90, because not only did I need the triple attack on my MC and Inyo, but the NA cap also helped from it as well. So not only is it just damage, but it's also TA. So just really good. Celestial Spear, really good for the optimization. All right, so now I'm moving down to S plus. So S plus, I'm just gonna pair Naru and Neo together. Technically, Neo could have gone up to SS if I used her for longer in 250, but I did not. So she was pretty much exclusively for 150 for me. So both of these two were just really good for 150, but that was the only place where I used them. Matera also is down in S plus. She's kind of like Neo as well, where I mentioned this during the setup section, but if I could have used Matera longer in like 250, and I could have used her in 150 as well, or 200 as well. But she just wasn't really needed, and she wasn't the fastest for me either because she's really clicky. So she's down at S plus. I do see the strength of her in this guild war, but she just wasn't the best for me personally. Bubs is down in S plus just because Bubs was really good for the 250 mash thing. But I did a few runs where I didn't actually use him because I was just testing stuff, and it was still fine. He was probably still faster overall, but it was fine without him. So you just down at S plus. Raphael Fist and Ramfire are both down at S plus for me personally, because I did not do the 200 stuff for Ramfire to make it really pop off. So I only used it for that 95 setup, which was good, but I don't think it's SS good. And Raphael Fist was only 150. So pretty much that's the reason why both of these are down here for me. All right, next S, Grimnir, Anilla, kind of, there's a lot of pairings in these. So Valentine's, Grimnir, and Anilla just play together well because Anilla has the echo on triple attacks and Grimnir guaranteed triple attacks. So they go together pretty nice there. Lancelot's down in S. The only place that I really used him was in 200 for the full auto. And even then, I could have used other characters. Didn't use him for 250 and didn't use him for anything else. I am going to put my soup here. I actually one-barred my soup because I wanted to try it. I did use it for 250 for a little bit just to help Matera get guaranteed TA. And I guess that team in general have guaranteed TA. But it wasn't really needed. It was just kind of like a for fun thing because I only needed to one-bar it. So I just one-barred it. Katura, I did see some people doing this for 250, and I did start off with Katura in 250, but she was just way slower than like all the other full autos. Vayne is just backline. Halloween Vayne is just backline. Normal Vayne, I did see some people full autoing with him for 200 maybe, but I did see some 250s with him. Did not use him personally, but I did see it. Noire, I did see for some 200 like solo mashing stuff, but I did not use her personally like at all this guild war. Sarawell, I did use backline for 200 I think, but that was it. Anilla was just sack for 250. B tier, Sin, MIA. MIA. I actually completely forgot that Sin even got her FLB until I saw one piece of fan art for her after the guild war ended, and I was like, oh yeah, where the heck was Seeking Sin? So I don't know if Sin was good or bad, but I don't know if anybody even tested her, to be honest. But yeah, so Sin exists. Charlotta, I saw one meme that Octo sent me. That was the only Charlotta representation I saw. Friday, everybody was like, oh my god, the last day's on Friday. Well, it's on Thursday, so you could use Friday. Oh my god, everything I saw with Friday seemed like a horror story. So Friday, I know for a fact people tried her, but I didn't see anything that was like actually good with her. Sandolphin, I do not have Sandolphin, but I did see some people doing some full auto stuff with him for 250, and it seemed pretty decent. He may have been in 200 as well, but I did see it. I don't have this character, so I didn't use him, so he's down here. Kaguya, I saw some 250s with her as well. Did not use her, but I did see some 250s. Mahira and Hasalia completely MIA, like completely MIA. I didn't even see fan art of these two. Completely MIA. Did not see anybody use either one of these for anything. Lamarok, I do not have Lamarok, but I did see the destruction of Lamarok I don't even know the word that he ensued upon 200. He was crazy for 200. I did see him a little bit in 250, but I don't know, outside of maybe like grouping, I didn't see any like speed setups for 250 that were using him. It mostly seemed like he was just 200 exclusive, and that was the only place I saw him a lot. But he was kind of king of 200. I even saw him for like full autos for 200 as well. So Lamrock definitely seems good. I don't know if he was good enough that he can do what they did. I don't know if he was good enough to do what they did, but you know, he seemed good for 200, I guess. Cassiopeia, I kind of mentioned this earlier in the SS summons with Yatima and stuff. Cassiopeia is good, but just the way, the nature of wind bursts and using a lot of either pretty much like single-sided stuff with Yatima, the fact that they use Yatima a lot for their bursts makes Cassiopeia's usefulness go down, because you just kind of need to use Belial to ensure you call the right summons. I did see her used in some full auto stuff for like 250, and I won't say it's like cope because obviously it worked, but like it's kind of cope because you could actually just use Belial and it didn't really change anything. So yeah, Cassiopeia, a lot of people that had Wind Primal and were expecting, you know, the type of setups that we saw, kind of knew Cassiopeia wasn't going to really be used, but I guess we were all kind of just seeing maybe she pulls something out, but no, not really. Evanescence, I did see some people using like double Evanescence crit grids for like 250 and stuff, but I only have one Evanescence, and unlike Grimnir Spear, I did not feel double Evanescence gapped in the sense that I felt I needed to bar my second one, so I just didn't use it, but I did see it. Now this last thing is the thing that I want to talk about earlier with the Grimnir Spear. Showfist and Noire Sword. I didn't see Noire Sword on this tier list to add it, but Showfist and Noire Sword. Unironically, I know some people, and this is what I was trying to say earlier, is that I know some people use these weapons for like 200 bursts with Lamrock, but me personally, I did not use either one of those weapons at all. On all of my burst setups, none of them were actually enmity. None of them were enmity. Even the Ramfire one, it was not enmity. So nothing for me was actually enmity based to actually need either one of those weapons. So it is kind of just interesting that I got to get away with only using stamina, because I know a lot of people think, especially with Ramfire, that wind stuff is pretty much like enmity based, but I just didn't use like any of the enmity stuff this time for some reason. So yeah, but that's pretty much it for this. That's the tier list. Again, I forgot Owlcat should be an SS, and Noire Sword should be down here with Showfist, but I didn't see it on the thinking list. So but yeah, that's pretty much it for this post go or ramble. We will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and thanks for the support as always. Bye bye.